Good afternoon, guys. What's happening? This is the first show of 2026. So happy New Year. How's everybody doing? Everybody's in shape? Not too hungover from the partying? Hopefully not. Hope you guys are all doing well and nobody's worse this year. I hope everybody's better. I'm going to be dealing with a little delay in my headphones today. I don't know why, but it's throwing me off because I think I'm just going to take my headphones off but I want to hear my guitar. I don't know what's going on. Can you guys hear everything okay on your end? I usually don't have issues, but today for some reason, I don't know, something's weird. Can you give me a thumbs up if you hear me okay? I just want to make sure everything's good before we start. I don't want to be talking to myself here. Let's see, who's here already? So Wayne is here, MFN, Paul. Paul says the snow never stops. I totally understand. Same here, man. It's been very cold, very snowy. We got a lot of ice, and that's never pleasant. As probably you guys are at the end of your vacation, or if not already at work. So I'm just gonna, hold on a second, guys. I'm just gonna fix something here because it really is distracting. Let me just see here. It's weird because sometimes things go a little screwy. I think I'm just gonna turn off my volume, but then I can't really hear anything that I'm saying here. So, interesting issues here. Anyway, so yeah, I think maybe some of you are already at the end of your holidays and probably already back at work, which kind of sucks. It's always nice to have time off, but all good things must come to an end. But at least we have our Sunday show to look forward to, so we can at least have a little bit more fun this Sunday before going back to the grind. Let's jump into some talk right away, man. Yeah, Mark, I think Mark, somebody was guessing what I'd be playing. Somebody said, I don't see the chats before. When I go live, I can see the chats on the YouTube feed, but then that goes away and I lose it. So I lose track of what the questions were. So if you guys asked a question, you can just post it again if you don't mind. I think Mark said I would be playing my SG today. Yeah, no, I'm playing the Kramer. Always fun to play. I saw another one this weekend for sale, exactly like this one, $149, obviously before the mods. But I keep on talking about these guitars, how great they are in terms of a modding platform. So if you're looking at getting one of these, I would highly recommend it, guys, because honestly, it's a good deal. You can't beat it. $149 used. If you get one in good condition, you could mod the crap out of it and make it your own. All right, so let's jump into the chat, guys. First of all, I want to share some good news because you guys helped make this happen. The channel got 10 million views this past weekend. We actually hit 10 million views, which is great. And we got that on the 3rd of January. So just happened. And thanks to you guys and everybody else that's tuning into the channel. So fantastic, and congratulations because we did it together. Mark says he went back to work last week. His wife and kids go back tomorrow and they're in terrible moods. Amen. I don't blame them. I'm kind of in the same situation. I can't believe the holidays are already over. But hey, you know what I mean? You got to pay the bills. And if any of you bought some expensive gear over the holidays, you know how that is. The first credit card bill after you get back from Christmas and New Year's is always a whopper. You can always tell if you're still getting the paper invoices, and a lot of you have gone digital, I know, but if you still get the paper, in the mail, it's heavy. That's how you know it's going to be it's going to be a good one, because there's usually 3 or 4 pages in there. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about gear. Let's talk about good stuff. Mean Gene guessed the black guitar, so he guessed right, I guess. I don't know if he cheated and only made that comment after he saw what I was playing. Paul says it was his 79th birthday yesterday. Paul, happy birthday, dude. Happy 79th. I hope you partied and celebrated appropriately. Birthdays are always fantastic and always a fun time. Mean Gene has a question. He says, who the heck makes a looper with only 20 seconds of loop time? It takes me 20 seconds to switch chords. So, Mean Gene, you're playing with your looper, having fun with it? Mark, I was playing my Telecasters and stuff yesterday. I decided not to grab one today, but played that yesterday. Rico had a question. He says, Tony, have you reviewed the Ampero 2 stage or stomp? I just returned the Line 6 HX stomp. I'm looking for something less complicated. Yeah, I did. I did review all of those. If you want something less complicated, Rico, go with this. This is what I'm playing through today. The Valiton GP50. Very simple. 2 buttons, a little screen, nice sounds. That's all you need. It works really well, and best of all, it's not expensive. I'm going to be doing a full review on this, Rico, so if you're interested, stay tuned. I was hoping to have it finished today, but I got sidetracked with all of the stuff during the holidays, so I'm a little bit delayed on that. But I'm going to be showing you a full review on this coming up. Eddie had a question. He says, Tony, what do you think about replacing a barrel jack to a Les Paul style jack? My barrel jack always works loose. You could. I mean, it's not a big mod. Just a couple of, it's just an extra plate, a couple of screws. Very easy to do. For those of you that don't know what the difference between a barrel jack is, these have barrel jacks. This one has a barrel jack, see? It's round, there's no plate. I don't know if you can see that. I kind of like the barrel jacks because they look clean. If it's coming loose, maybe just change it. Maybe just put a different one, or, hot glue it in place or something like that. If it's coming loose, there's a reason. Probably just something loose on the inside. There's usually a way to retain it on the inside of the barrel jack. So check it out before you actually change it. Thanks, Profile. Yeah, 10 million views. That's something, I would say. It'd be it'd be even better if we had 10 million subscribers, but hey, one step at a time. We're getting there slowly. Paul says my birthday was playing my birthday pedal. A Wihoo JMP Drive. You mentioned that one last time, so you finally got it. Was it everything you expected, Paul? Are you happy with it? What's your review? Give us some feedback. I know that one wasn't a cheap pedal, right? It was a little bit expensive. So are you happy with it? Is it a keeper? Mark says, I bought a Rat pedal last week. I had one back in the day and never liked it. Now I'm really digging it. It's funny how that works. And it's happened to me a couple of times too. And I've gone both ways. I've tried old pedals that I didn't really like back in the day, and I kind of warmed up to them, like Mark says. And also, I've tried pedals that I didn't like back in the day, and I still don't like them. As a matter of fact, I have one up for sale right now. I have the Blues Driver from Boss, which I bought again, hoping to like it, and it still doesn't do it for me. So it's up for sale. If anybody is interested, let me know. A lot of people love them. I don't know why. I just can't get to liking them. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. What else? Good morning from Phoenix. Contemplating a Squire Jaguar. Have you checked out Jaguars? I haven't, Rex. Nope. You know, Jaguars never really did it for me. And again, maybe I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I'm not a big fan of the Jaguar shape for some reason. So, but you know how long it took me to pull the trigger and actually love my SG. So maybe it's just one of those things. I have to mature a little bit more before. But a lot of people do like them. Let's see here. Human Jones says, I had an amazing break, played guitar every day, practicing, recording, learning the first and fourth pentatonic scales. Excuse me. Fantastic. Always good to throw in some theory in the practicing and noodling. If you can remember stuff, then it's great to start practicing and learning and memorizing all those pentatonic scales. Never hurts. Widens your palette of licks and stuff that you can pull from when you're playing live. Hey, Davis. David is here too. Hello, good morning. How are you? How's everything on your side, David? Shane's interested in a Johnny Marr Jaguar 2. I bought a classic Vibe Jazzmaster and didn't love it. Oh, and love it. Sorry, I thought you meant you did. So a lot of you out there like the Jaguar shape. For me, it just seems odd. I don't know. The shape, it seems a little bit too organic. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to some other guitar shapes a little bit more. I have to come around to them. I'll go off Twitler. Jazzmasters are awesome. Eddie says, I've had the Stomp for about 3 years now, and it's a learning curve. I probably only know about 25% of it. That's the thing with these multi-effects units. It does take a little while before you can understand them. So that's why maybe it's better to start simple. The Valaton GP50 is really great. A lot of people are raving about it, and I understand why. It's got everything you need in it. And it's, you know, really small. It's got a rechargeable battery in it. It's portable. It's a great little pedal. Something definitely you'll enjoy playing if I show you all the details on it. I'm sure you guys will like it. Mark says, I've mostly been playing my new used 2001 Les Paul Special I mentioned last week. I think it has P100s rather than P90s in it. According to Gibson, they had P100s. Interesting. So, Mark, P100s, is that just P90s with a few more wines in it or what? Are they slightly bigger, beefier? I don't know too much about the P100s. Stags are weird guitars. Yeah, I've seen a few of those. They are a little bit weird. But again, they're pretty popular. A lot of people do like them. Paul says the Weehoo JMP drive can do usual Marshall in a box in your face thing. The big butt back, what is he saying here? Back off, it can do a dead perfect Mark Knopfler Sultans of Swing sound on a Strat. I bought it for that. Well, that's when you really know you have a good pedal. When you can get all the grit and the gnarly tones, the drive tones, and then back off the guitar or back off the pedal a little bit and it cleans up really nice. That's a pedal that has dynamics. A lot of pedals can't do that. And that is something, if you have that in a pedal, you're probably going to keep that pedal. You're probably going to enjoy it. Rex says, looking at classic Vibe Jag, wondering about tuning stability. Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about the tuners on that thing. generally the issues with those guitars is the tremolo. So that I can't really talk about. I don't know. I haven't really tried that. Rico says, thanks for the GP50 suggestions. I've had my eye on it, but haven't seen Sweetwater or Guitar Center carry it yet. Did you buy it from Veloton Direct? Yeah, I did. Yeah. They're going to be on the market. You're going to see everybody's going to be carrying them because they're already very, very popular. So don't worry about it. How much for the pedal? Again, I'm in Canada, so guys, the prices will vary. Let me just see what they're going for now. Prices change so much that I can't keep track. You know what's funny? I'm gonna mention. It's about you can grab them for under 200 bucks Canadian on Amazon. So 200 Canadian, that's what, 150 American, something like that. Yeah, not compare. You know, if you compare the Veloton GP5 was like about $130 Canadian. This one's. I'd rather go for this one if I had a choice. I've tried, you know, the GP5 I have as well. It's a great pedal, but this one does more. So if you're gonna be choosing between, just go for the 50. Yeah. Dr. Kramer says, I got my first wireless audio system. Nice not to have a cord in the way. It really is. Once you start going wireless, it's really a lot of fun. As long as everything's stable. You know, because obviously wireless, like I'm going wireless from here to my microphone. My lav mic is wireless, but everything else is plugged in. I've done shows where it was totally wireless as well. As long as it's stable, you don't have any issues. It's a lot of fun. So Mark says he thinks the P100 was Gibson's noiseless P90. I see. So they're stacked, right? Somehow. That's cool. Because P90s are notoriously noisy. You know, it's nothing I can't deal with. I don't mind so much. But a lot of people, you know, if you do want to do recording and you really want the most pristine, clean sound, then the P100s might be the better option. Guys, before we go any further, please give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. I would appreciate that. And if you're lurking and you can't chat, that's because you're not subscribed. Okay, guys? So if you're new here, and we welcome newcomers every week, please just subscribe. It takes a second and you'll be able to chat. We welcome new people, new questions, and there's no dumb questions here. Anything you want to talk about, just put it in the comment section here and we'll get to it. Shane says you can't go nuts with a Jag tremolo. Just press it lightly to color the sound. Of course, you can upgrade it someday if you want. I don't know how easy it is to upgrade those trem systems, Shane. I never actually, like I said, I never had a Jazzmaster, so I haven't really played around or worked or modified any of those guitars. You know, Strats, very easy. Strat style guitars, you can pop in something else. Jaguars, I don't know how like once you pop off that tremolo on a Jaguar, I don't know what kind of routing, what kind of options you have there, what kind of other tremolos you'd slap in there. No clue. Totally don't know. So I don't know how easy or how difficult it could be. Paul says, over the years, I bought then dumpy at minimum $2,000 worth of pedals before stumbling on the German-made Weehoo JMP drive. It's 200 bucks. So that's, you know, hindsight is 20/20, right? Could have saved you a lot of effort, a lot of money, but you know, searching is half the fun, guys. You know, I love experimenting with pedals because it doesn't do, you know, maybe that one thing you're looking for absolutely great. It's great for other things. You know, there's some pedals that are like that. They're very niche pedals that If you use them for a specific thing, they can't be beat. They might not be great all around, but for one specific thing, they're fantastic. Jazzmaster Jazz Trem need a mystery bridge upgrade. Shane says, well, you can upgrade from a Squire to a Fender Trem. Yeah, but I mean, you would have to stick with the same style. So I don't know how much of an upgrade it would actually be at the end of the day. So Rico says, I just ordered from the Valaton site, $134.99 delivered US. Yeah, that's about right. That was quick, Rico. You don't waste any time. Fantastic. You're going to love it, man. It's a great little pedal. You'll see. 93 Green Strat says, speaking of P90s, how much difference in tone are they from vintage PF styled humbuckers? The PF was actually created to address the noise issue of the P90s. There's a pretty big difference in my opinion. Let's not forget that, the P90s are single coil, where the humbuckers are obviously double coil. Humbuckers are more fat, they're more full. The P90s are more like a beefed up Strat pickup, in my opinion. You do get a little bit more bite than you would get on a Strat for sure, and it's a little bit more beefy than a Strat, probably because it has more whines. But it doesn't sound like a PF to me. Shane says, I was bidding on a swollen pickle. You got to stay off those websites, Shane. You can get viruses and stuff. Anyone ever have a swollen pickle? There was that one time back in high school, but the antibiotics took care of it, Shane. So it was all good. I'm sure a few of you out there have had swollen pickles over the years. Yeah. The Human Jones says, I'm curious about the Player 2 Jags. They look pretty nice. Yeah, well, if anybody here has purchased one, pulled the trigger on one of those, let us know. I haven't. Again, I can't. I wish I could help you, but I can't. I wanted to mention, guys, one thing. I came across something pretty cool. And I want to show you this. Because this doesn't really pop up too often. Let me just share. Hold on. Let me try and get this on my screen here. All right, see this thing? Isn't it a beauty? Isn't it beautiful? This guitar is a brand new because it's new on the market. It's a vintage Les Paul that just popped up in my area, no less. This thing is fantastic. They're asking $699,995 US for it. It was originally a guitar. It's a 1959 Gibson Les Paul standard burst. If you guys haven't already recognized it, fantastic little guitar here. Nickname Céline, so you know it's got to be from Quebec or Montreal. And apparently it comes with full provenance, and they call it a piece of Canadian music history. I don't know who originally belonged to, but this is not one of those Murphy age guitars. It's not a reproduction. It's nothing like that. It's an original 59. So if you're interested in buying it, it could be had for just under $700,000. Pretty good deal. And I wanted to give you a little bit of specs, a few different specs on this thing, because again, you don't see these too often, And so I grabbed the specs on it, and it says basically that this Céline burst is featured in Burst Believers 4 and 5. I don't know what that means, but it says the guitar is 100% original, Save for a professional refret and repro tuners. Originals have shrunk and are included with the guitar, so you get all the original hardware with it. Original photographs of the original owner and his beloved burst throughout the years with his wife Celine. So he named this guitar after his wife. And it says the guitar was also photographed in the 1970s with the Slash Burst. The two guitars were purchased at the same time from the same store in Quebec in 1959. I'm really curious to know which guitar this guitar originally comes from. It was originally purchased from Celine's husband and the other by his friend and neighbor. Lots and lots of additional photos available on request. The guitar begs to be played, and it plays phenomenally. It weighs 8.9 pounds and is ready to be played in love for another 70 years. Mahogany body, incredible curly book match Eastern hard rock flame maple top. Neck materials mahogany, all the usual stuff. And you also get the original hard shell case, the strap, copies of the hardcover book featuring the guitar, original photographs of the original owner and his beloved burst throughout the years, and most importantly, quintessential haunting burst tone. So what do you guys think of that? That's pretty crazy, isn't it? Man, if I had if I had 700,000 burning a hole in my pocket, let's all chip in. What do you guys say? Huh? 50 grand each, 100 grand each. We can share it. You guys, I can have it one day. You guys can have it another day. I'd love to find out and maybe get a video of that guitar, but I don't think they'd be that willing to have people touching it. If they're selling that for basically $1 million, probably not far from $1 million Canadian, right? Because they're asking 700,000 US, so that's close to $1 million Canadian. And it says FX fees are on us. So you do get a deal. Oh my God. And they also say, surprisingly, it says, we accept trades offers. Tell us what you got. So if you guys want to trade a house for it or something like that, they might be willing. Man, I'd love to have that in a collection. Imagine. That'd be a beauty. Somebody's going to walk away with that guitar. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be somebody here in Canada or Quebec. It could be an investor in the States or somewhere else. But I have a feeling it's not going to be on the market for long. And it's crazy because if you look at it, I'm just going to show you one more time here. If you look at it, sometimes a lot of people criticize the Murphy Lab aged guitars as being a little bit too relict. They look a little bit too beat up. Well, if you look at this one, man, it's pretty beat up. So I don't know if you can, let me just zoom in a little bit on it if I can. I don't know. I'm getting it. I can't really work this thing here. But you can see that it's the body is not that, pristine. It's been played. So for those of you criticizing the Murphy age stuff, I mean, there are some guitars out there that are pretty beat up, but this one is nice. Really like it. So anyways, I was contemplating it for about 2 seconds. I'm going to show my wife. I'm going to say, honey, maybe for my next birthday, something like this. I don't think she'd go for it, but never hurts to try. Oh, man, we can only dream. So let's get back to reality, guys. Unfortunately, most of us will never be able to afford something like that, but it's nice to dream. Can't really fault ourselves for lusting over gear like that. Nice figuring. Yeah, that's the thing that gets me the most. Yeah, I think so. The fact that the guitars have a thin coat or the lacquer eventually comes apart. I mean, they did use lacquer in these guitars, not poly. So yeah, that's, part of the beauty of these things. So yeah, um, I wanted to talk a little bit about something I came across also recently. This might or might not be news to you guys, but Earthquaker Devices, the company that makes really awesome pedals, has mentioned that their prices are going to be going up about 30%. So if you guys are looking at getting one, I'd snag one up now because they've announced that the price increase would be coming January 1st. So it should already be in place. So any new Earthquaker device pedals that you end up buying will probably cost you about 30% more, unfortunately. And I think the prices are they've already increased in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. So if considering most of their pedals are already $200 plus, it's gonna be a lot. I don't know how these pedal companies are gonna do after these increases because, man, I mean, how much can you sell a pedal for these days before people will look elsewhere and find something else to play around with? Because if you're spending 200, close to, let's say 250 with tax, almost $300 for one pedal, eesh, it's gonna be something. I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, they've mentioned it's due to the tariffs. So everybody's trying to recoup money that they're paying out with through the tariffs. I think I even have the original article here. So it's continuing. It's the article said the title says Trump tariffs are choking small U.S. manufacturers, even those making music magic. Earthquaker Devices has served Smashing Pumpkins, J.P. Harvey, and Radiohead, but says tariff adds costs of up to 30%. So, and they're not the only one. They're going to be joining the other people. It says his most popular model is the Plumes, has sold over 67,000 devices. 67,000, that's crazy, man. So yeah, my big question is how much more can we squeeze these small companies before they go belly up? I don't think, I mean, although it seems like they're selling a lot of stuff, at the end of the day, they have to sell a shitload of stuff just to stay in business. So it might seem like a lot, but at the end of the day, how much profit are they making on all those sales after operating expenses and all that? So, So Dan Steely says you could buy about 80 PRS private stock brand new. You could. Will they hold their value? Probably not. This one will. This one will definitely be an investment. I don't think you're going to lose out in terms of investing. If you're a businessman and you have a lot of money and you want to perhaps find yourself a nice tax write-off, perhaps you can buy one of these guitars. You can air quotes donate it to a museum or something like that. So you don't necessarily pay taxes on that money. And then after a while, as the price goes up over the years, you can take it back, sell it for a profit, and Bob's your uncle. There's many ways to, that's what usually happens with these things. Have you tried the Marshall Silver Jubilee? Yeah, not the combo, the head unit, yes. I actually bought one. I kept it for a little while, and then I sold it. I wasn't that crazy about it. It's a cool sounding amplifier if you're into that tone, but I was looking for something a little bit more towards like the plexi sound, and it didn't really have the plexi sound to me. So I didn't end up keeping it. Are you looking for one? Are you asking because you're interested in perhaps getting one? The thing with a lot of these Marshalls, like the Silver Jubilee, the JCM 800, those type of circuits, is you can get them to pretty much sound like each other with a little tweaking. Like they're not that far off from one another. So if you tweak with an EQ pedal or put a booster pedal in front of it, something that you can color the sound just a little bit, you're probably going to get very close. So if you have, let's say, an 800, for example, you're not that far off from the Silver Jubilee. I have an Earthquaker Westwood Distortion. I recently started using it as a boost as well. Yeah. I recently got something. I'll share with you guys. I got this. I got the new Rode 4. You know, I started tuning. What I do, guys, in case you don't know, this is something that's a little bit of a tradition. Every year, and maybe it's an OCD thing, I'm not really sure. But every year, the new year comes around, what I like to do is I take all my guitars. So the guitars behind me, the guitars that I'm playing here, guitars that I have in cases, there's quite a few of them. And I just go around and I tune them all. And for some reason, I feel like doing that is kind of like sort of banishing the dissonance from your life. You know what I mean? It's like all your guitars are in tune, at least for a little while. And it's almost like tradition. I like to do that. And so yesterday I spent, I'm going to say, easily 2 hours, 2.5 hours doing that. Just tuning all the guitars. And it gave me a good opportunity to try this thing. I don't know if you guys know what this is. This is the Rode 4. It looks like a vape, like one of those vapes, but it's not. It's a tuner. And it's pretty cool because it tunes automatically in terms of, it actually turns your tuner heads here. So what you do is you go in, you create a profile. See, I have Gibby there. So I created a profile for my guitars. I have like Gibby. I have, you can go through the different ones. So Gibby, I have the Strat, I have a Kramer, I have a 335, even a bass in there. So I created a profile. So this is one for the Kramer that I have here. And then all you got to do, it's pretty cool. You put it on tuner. I'll turn up the volume so you can hear it in action. So let's say you're trying to tune. You just put it on the tuner head. You pluck it, and it'll recognize the notes. This one's already in tune. So this one, I don't know if you heard the difference, but it just tuned it. This one. And it just beeps to know that you're in tune. Can you hear it doing its thing? And then when it's in tune, it just stops. So you have a nicely tuned guitar. Man, this delay that I'm getting today is killing me. It's really terrible, especially if you're trying to play. So anyways, this is a really cool little device, and I'll be showing you guys how it works in more detail. If you have a lot of guitars, it could definitely be a tool to consider Um, so it says, hope you're checking your room humidity level before tuning all those guitars. Yeah, I try and keep my humidity levels in check, but you know, winter time, it's always going to be a little bit wonky. I do also take the opportunity when I'm tuning all the guitars up to check them. I'll check for fret sprout. I don't really have any fret sprout happening, so I know that my humidity levels are pretty good. And just, you know, check to see if the neck needs to be adjusted or anything like that. Generally, my guitars were pretty good. And also, it gives me an opportunity to evaluate all of my guitars and decide if there's any on the chopping block. And I think I took two as potential guitars that I'm probably going to sell. Two out of the bunch. So we'll see. But it's a buyer's market out there, guys. So if you're considering selling stuff, be ready to take a loss because a lot of stuff is floating around and not moving. So you got to be pretty lucky, or you got to be willing to lower your prices to be able to sell things quickly nowadays. So keep that in mind. I think pedals are still doing pretty good. I think you're able to sell them rather quickly, although most of the time people are offering trades instead of money. Guitars, not so much. A lot of people will just lowball you. So you got to be prepared for that. The Jubilee JCM 800 and Plexi are definitely tweakable via pedals. Sadly, over time, I sold all three and replaced them with a Friedman Jake E. Lee. My wife is happier. Hey, man, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? If it ain't doing it for you, there's no reason why you shouldn't sell them. All of those amplifiers are easily retrievable. If you want to buy them again, it's not like they're uber rare or anything like that. You can go out and buy another one anytime. So yeah, if the Jakey Lee's doing it for you, better to have one good all-arounder than a few that are just gathering dust, especially with the price of tubes and stuff like that these days, right? I saw something else that I didn't know. I wanted to share with you guys. I'm a big fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan. You guys know that. I think a lot of you guys might also be fans. You know, Stevie was great. But I didn't know this about him. And it's interesting because it makes total sense. Apparently, Donnie Opperman, who was a guitar tech at one time, I don't know if I don't think he was his main tech, but he probably worked with him at one point, and says that Stevie was a brutally physical player. We all know that. I mean, you know, his fingers were very strong and he had those thick strings on his Strat and he played like it was nothing. And he says, I sometimes changed his strings 2 or 3 times the same night. Never mind like the same week, you know, same night. And he says, when I first met him, he would push an extra E and B string through the bridge, and he'd tape them to the face of his guitar. So if he broke one of those strings, he'd just grab one of the new strings, pull it straight, wind it onto the post himself, and he had this technique where he could bend the very end of the string down and then snap it off in one move before sticking it in the tuning peg. Super strength in his hands. He's like, I can't do that, and I've tried hundreds of times. So he'd bend the very end of the string down and then snap it off. You could do that with the thin strings, the A and the B strings. You could, if you bend them like you know, on themselves, they'll easily break. So that's what he would do. And I never noticed that. I never saw that when he was playing, but it makes total sense. You know, if you're snapping those strings and the way he played, I wouldn't be surprised if he snapped them quite often. There's a lot of videos of Stevie playing where he snaps a string and he continues playing, and somebody comes in behind him, swaps out the guitar, and he continues playing. So I'm sure that happened many, many times. So a little tidbit of information that I didn't know and I wanted to share. All right. So, guys, I don't see too many questions. What's going on? You guys are quiet today. Is it just because you like to hear me talking, or what's going on? You guys are hungover? Apparently, there's rumors also that Alex Van Halen will be part of a new Alex Van Halen album. Apparently, I don't know if these are just rumors, but they're going around. And apparently, he announced that he's getting ready to do a record with Steve Lukather and a couple of other people. So I don't know if this is going to be like a Van Halen tribute or if he's going to be playing Van Halen tunes or other things. But there was talk and there was rumors about them going through old EVH and AVH unfinished song demos that they made. So perhaps they're going to be pulling out some of those old tapes, going through them, finding some rare gems and finishing them. Going to be interesting to see, especially with Steve Lukather. That should be cool. Steve's no slouch himself. He's able to do quite a bit. He's been around forever. So here we have a comment saying amp modelers are getting better every year. Tube amps require more maintenance every year. It's like rolling a big rock uphill. It kind of is. So that there's going to be a lot of people that are looking at possibly going the easier route. It's funny because just yesterday I downloaded the the updates to Overloud. And if you guys remember, we had one of the founders of Overloud on the show. And there's a new update. And the thing that I've kind of forgot to mention when we were talking about all that stuff and he was on the show is that if you buy the Overloud software, which is amazing, by the way, and if you have a good set of speakers connected to your computer system, you can do crazy stuff. You can basically have virtual rigs that sound amazing. But what I forgot to mention, THU Overloud, once you buy it, you have updates forever for free. So they just released some new updates that they made on their software, and I installed the new version yesterday, and it sounds amazing. And like we were talking, if having an amp is like rolling a rock uphill, a boulder uphill, and you don't want to spend that much money and you want to still have the flexibility of recording and playing at home and all that kind of stuff, and you don't really need to take something out of the house, you can try that. It's amazing. It's really cool. Let's see here. Shane says, I skipped my question. Oh, okay. Shane, is that your question? Which side of the stage do you stand on when you play live? Does that make a huge difference? I kind of like being on the right side. I switch. I can be right or left. The last show that I played, I was on the left. But during rehearsals, I'm often on the right. Why do you ask? Do you have a preference? Cool Tunes Made Easy says, hello all. Wasn't able to chat and I've been a subscriber before Christ. Well, you're chatting right now. What's going on? Cool Tunes, what's going on? I'm still trying to use my Echoplex with a quarter tape going for $100. A fresh reel. So, MFN says, Shane, I'm thinking Strymon, Cloudburst, Big Sky, Deco, or El Capistan. Let's see. Shane had a question, so I missed that question. I'm just going to go back here. See if I can find it. I don't see it. So Rico says, I reached out to Andertons after watching their Veloton review. I asked total delivered cost would be. They replied, unable to quote final price due to tariffs. Yeah, I know. That's the thing, man. Especially if you're ordering from Europe. If you're ordering from inside of the US, you should be fine. But if anything coming from other places, you're going to get hit by tariffs and it won't be fun. It'll be a big surprise. Shane says, I'm getting ready for a live show and they put me on the right. What do you mean they put you on the right? You don't have a choice. Hey man, you're the artist. You're the performer. You're why they're paying big bucks to watch the show. You should have final call. I'm sure Slash wouldn't take that. He's going to get wherever he wants to be, right? You should do the same. Mix it up. If I was you, I'd just mix it up and go on the left just to screw with them. Hey Tony, any experience with the PRS DGT model? The only experience I have is lusting over it. Seems like a really, really nice guitar, and I really was interested in that guitar when it first came out. I was drooling over it. Seems really nice. If you're considering, you have my blessing. You know, it seems to have everything that you need. And all the demos that I've seen on that guitar, it sounds amazing. You can't go wrong with a PRS guitar in terms of quality control and final product. So you can buy it with confidence. There's a new PRS guitar, I believe, relatively new PRS guitar. It's called the Fiore. Have you seen this, guys? It's interesting because they've changed their... here, let me just put this on my screen here. Can you see this? It's the Fiore. You see this? So it's kind of a Strat style guitar, and it's funny because it's not really like a Silver Sky, and it's not really like their standard model. It's something kind of new, a new formula. So if you guys are... if you're like the Strat style bodies, you have that, although they decided to go with humbuckers. So it's weird because they have two humbuckers, they have the three knobs like a Strat and the selector switch like a Strat. I think three knobs on this style guitar is a little bit too much, seems a little cramped. And but the headstock is still PRS style, the body, you know, very nicely made, but it's got the same kind of contours as a Strat. Now this thing is not cheap. As you can see, the prices are listed above here in, it's $2,649. They're not giving it away, guys. But it's interesting because they are offering different things. If you like the PRS brand, but perhaps don't like the styling of the guitars, you have an option. It's like a Super Strat with HS, with humbuckers. So, you know, kind of maybe giving a little competition to brands like Charvel and stuff like that. I don't know how well it's going to sell. Interesting, though. And it's good to note that they haven't put in their proprietary pickups. They've gone with straight humbuckers. I think that's the right choice, because if you want to modify anything with those proprietary pickups, it becomes very difficult. With this, you can just pop in whatever you need. I watched Fender give Music Is Win a Gretsch. What a beautiful guitar. Gretsch are a really nice guitar. That's one of the guitars that I've never owned, but I have played numerous times and I always was impressed with the sound on them. Maybe one day I'll grab one for myself, but I haven't done it yet. Paul says the drummer on that record is supposed to be John Bonham's son. Are you referring to the album that Alex Van Halen is going to be working on? Isn't he going to be doing the drumming? Curious. I recently bought a vinyl record from a band in England called Red Giant. Came out to 63 bucks. $63 due to tariffs? Holy mackerel. You could almost buy a plane ticket and go get it yourself. Shane says PRS does a good job of ripping off other brands. I think that's one of the aspects of any type of company that makes any kind of music gear. Everybody does that. Look at Gibson's come out with guitars that look like Strats over the years. Has Fender come out with anything that looks like a Gibson? Not really. Telecasters kind of look like a Gibson, but Telecasters were out a long time ago, so I don't think that really counts. But if you look at other brands, the king of that back in the day was Ibanez. Ibanez basically copied everything. There was a lot of Ibanez lawsuit guitars that looked like Gibson Les Pauls, Stratocasters, everything. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that PRS is not the first. They won't be the last, that's for sure. NFM says, PRS sounds a little too underwater for my taste, but not a hater. Interesting. I wonder what you mean by underwater. And Dan is guessing for a synchromatic Falcon so badly. Yeah, those are nice guitars. Would you get it pinstriped? A guitar's darkness and brightness coming from so many aspects outside of the pickups and electronics, I tend to decide how to make it good at what they do best. Well, the thing about guitars, guys, is that you're not stuck with what you get from the factory. If it's a pickup issue, you can change the pickups. If it's a capacitor issue in terms of your tone, maybe you want it to be brighter, or you want the tone knob to affect the overall sound a little bit less, you can change the values of the caps on there, and there's so many things you could do to make it your own. So it's never really stopped me. If I like the playability of a guitar in terms of the feel, the neck, and all that kind of stuff, the rest I can make it my own. I'm not opposed to modify anything on a guitar, and a pickup swap is the easiest thing to do. So if you like the way it plays, it feels right, and it's easy to play, you're not struggling with it, just swap some different pickups in there and you're in business. All right. Hey, Profile, have a good day at work, man. So yeah, so that was one of the things that I wanted to share with you. We talked a little bit last week about the Boss pedal that was an all-in-one pedal, and people didn't really like that pedal. Didn't do very well. Maybe it's because it was totally digital and people don't necessarily want digital pedals all that much. But TC Electronics also has the Plethora, the X1, which is basically the same type of deal. It's a multi-effects pedal, which basically packs a whole bunch of stomp box effects in one pedal. And around Black Friday, I saw it selling for about $100, $120. Not that expensive considering you get a lot of effects in one pedal. You save space on your pedal board. You can save money. I don't know how many of you would actually be interested in something like that. The only thing that stops me from going with a pedal like that is I like to rearrange my pedals on my pedal board depending on what I'm trying to do. So having everything in one pedal sometimes is not that flexible. But this one has like delay in it, has reverb, compression, I believe, modulation, harmonizer. So it's not distortion based. So technically, it does offer a little bit more flexibility because since they're more modulation type effects, generally they would go at the end of your pedal board. So, I mean, it's nice if you want to be able to use a delay and a reverb at the same time to have two separate pedals. If you have one, unless you can mix two effects in one of these, like select two effects, which I don't think you can do. I could be wrong, but I don't think you can do it. It's not as flexible. You know, you can have delay at the end, you can have modulation at the end, reverb, compression, all that kind of stuff. The other reason I didn't buy it is because I already have my modulation effects and I don't really need it. So there's no point in taking off what I already have on my board. But if somebody wants to buy something, they're starting off, it's a good option to get a couple of really nice effects in one. Eddie Jr. says, Tony guys, I have a Wolfgang with a low friction volume pot. It moves if you breathe on it. Any ideas what to stick under the knob to slow it down? I had that guitar, so I know what you mean. The low friction pots, some people like them, some people don't. What you can do, there's a couple of things you can do. You can put a piece of felt under there, just a round piece of felt with a little hole in the middle. Put the hole, just remove the knob, put the hole in the shaft, over the shaft, and put your pot over it so that the pot, when you turn it, the felt will kind of give it a little bit of resistance. You can also put one of those gaskets, you know, the ones that you use as locking, like what I got here on my guitar here. One of these. These are almost the perfect size. They have a hole already in there. They're thick enough. So if you pull off the knob, for example, put it over the shaft and put the knob back in, then the silicone, and this is silicone, not rubber, so it won't affect the paint finish on your guitar. When you turn it, it'll give you a little bit of resistance. It's not the best, but it'll work. Yeah, Mean Gene says rubber band, that'll work too. Paul says my made in Germany buy had GST and handling charges, but not the duty. Well, I hope it doesn't arrive later, Paul, because I've had that experience where I would get the item and then a couple of weeks later I'd get a bill in the mail for duties. So hopefully you don't experience that pleasant surprise. Yeah, of course, you can always just change the pot. But some people do like the low friction. If you don't, just take it out, put it in a bag, keep it with your guitar. If ever you sell the guitar, you have the original pot. And then replace it with something else. It's an easy, like, honestly, it'll take you 15 minutes to swap it out. Flapjack says, I had a push-pull pot that became low friction. I was going to replace it, but first tried dripping a few drops of blue Loctite down between the shaft and the threaded collar. It did the trick. You guys are very resourceful. There's always a way. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, guys, if you have a problem. Shane says in Japan they charge 10% sales tax and you gotta pay it before they give you the item. 10% is not that bad. I could live with that. I came across another very interesting article that I didn't know. I'm learning new things every day, guys. Uh, Gary Moore, you guys know Gary, obviously. He's a legend in terms of guitar player. He had a lot of different guitars over the years, and most notably, I associate Gary with a Les Paul. But he played various other guitars as well, and one of them, which I didn't know, was a Charvel. And it was an early 80s Charvel with one humbucker on it, one knob a la Eddie Van Halen, and a Floyd Rose. I'm questioning whether or not he was inspired by Eddie or vice versa. I don't know if you guys saw this or know about this. Here, I'll share this with you guys. Can you see that? This is, you can see the guitar right here. And it's a very simple Strat style guitar, but it's a Charvel, Jackson Charvel. It doesn't even have the original Charvel headstock. It has the Jackson headstock on it. I don't know if I can show you that. Where is it? There it is. So you see it's got the Jackson headstock. And apparently it was very crude. Like the guitar itself wasn't very refined. The pick guard was, the hole for the the pickup was almost cut with a hacksaw. It wasn't centered. It wasn't sexy. It was very rough. So it's funny that guys like Gary Moore, just played stuff because he liked it and they didn't really care about the style or the look or any of that stuff. Kind of like Eddie was. Eddie even played his Frankenstrat for years and years, and it was basically a monstrosity, and he loved it. So here we are nitpicking over, fret ends and, oh, this one's got too much flame. This one doesn't have enough flame, and, all these crazy things. And these guys are a different breed. They don't really care. They just grab a guitar. If it works, I'm playing it. Same with Stevie Ray Vaughan, as number one. Let's see here. A lot of folks who use pinky volume control on a Telecaster like the low friction, using the Roy Buchanan style. I have a couple of guitars that have low friction pots on them, and I can tell you it is a bit of a pain because when you're playing, if you have a sloppy style and your fingers flail around a little bit like mine do, you easily hit that volume knob, and so many times it just ends up getting in the way, and I end up lowering my volume as I'm playing. And so yeah, there's it all depends on your picking hand and how under control it is. Got a Boss Reverb RV6 pedal this week, and the price came down to $100 on the Positive Grid Spark Live battery busking amp. So I'll be getting that soon too. I don't have that particular amp, but a friend of mine does, and he loves it. It's a great all-arounder for around the house. It's a great unit if you want to practice and you want to have some interesting tones at your disposal. Yeah, a lot of people love them. I think they're selling a ton of those. And Mark says, yes, I'm looking at the Jubilee. What do you think? Is it a good all-purpose, all-around $1,500? Thanks, Tony. As I said, for me, it's not like I didn't like it because it wasn't a good amplifier. It was definitely a good amplifier. I was just looking for something that had a little bit more flexibility in the tone. The Jubilee has that sound. So if you're looking for an amp that can do a lot of different tones, give you a little bit more versatility, the Jubilee might be limiting in that sense because it sounds like a Jubilee. So I tend to lean more towards a Plexi, because then I could use whatever pedals I want and I can get some really nice clean sounds out of it, spanky sounds, and then I could put whatever pedals I want in front of it if I want to dirty it up more than what it can give me naturally with the onboard gain. So it gives me a lot more flexibility. That's why I ended up selling it. It's like the JCM 800 I have behind me here. It's a cool amp, but it's limited if you want to do more than just what a JCM can do. I don't know if you understand what I mean, but there's certain amps that are a little bit more flexible in the sense that their tone is maybe less colored or a little bit more neutral, so you can do a lot more with it. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. And let's see here. I got a rack mount Boss RV700 reverb delay, just like the pedal, but more control and in-out gain knobs. Just like the pedal, but more control and in-out gain knobs. Do a lot of you still play rack-mounted effects? Those were very popular back in the day when I was younger, but they're not very practical in terms of like, you know, a portable rig. It's a little bit more hassle. But for home use, it's pretty cool. Paul says, I hate more than one thing in a pedal. I tend to agree with you, Paul. I think that when you get one of the, like these multi-effects pedals, it's like, you know, you'll get a really good tone for one thing, and then something else will be like, not that good. So you're stuck with it. I prefer to just get independent pedals as much as I can. Multi-effects units, that's a whole different thing. But for pedals, I tend to do that. Yeah, if you're going to get a distortion, you know. Unless you find the unicorn where you have a multi-effects pedal, more than one effects in a pedal where everything sounds good, which pretty rare. David says, I think rack effects should come back. David, I don't know if you remember, but when I was younger, Ibanez used to have these rack effects, which was a big, thick rack, and it had all kinds of like independent modules built into one effects in a rack mount, but it had a foot switch, pretty big foot switch, where you can turn it on and off all these rack mounted effects. I kind of never understood the logic between that, because like if you're gonna have a foot switch and a rack unit, like why would you have both? Anyways, a lot of artists used those back in the day. I think even Andy Summers from The Police used those things, and it had some really cool effects. The sounds were good, but it wasn't really practical, and it eventually disappeared. I also remember the little modules. I forget the company that actually, I think it was Korg. They had a little pedal board which had modules that you would slip in to a pedal board, and the modules could be swappable. So you would have to get all of the modules for the board if you wanted to use this kind of interchangeable little modules. And again, that kind of disappeared. I'm surprised nobody came back with a different version on that type of design, because it was interesting in a sense, but you're limited because you could only buy Korg stuff, you know. So I play pedal steel, and a small rack can sit right beside you on the floor facing up at you. A small rack is better than pedals for me. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. Exactly. Yeah, if you're doing that kind of thing, I understand. For sure. And Shane says there are some good delay / reverb pedals. More than one effect means fewer cables. As long as they can do both at the same time. I like using delay and reverb at the same time. So if you can only choose between one, then I would find that a little bit limiting. All right, should we do the poll question, guys? How long have I been yapping for? An hour, 14 minutes? Yeah, let's do the poll question. Let's have a look. Let me just pop that up on my screen here real quick. See what you guys think this time. All right, so we have, how many votes? 115 votes, not bad. So the question was, would you be satisfied if you had a Gibson Les Paul, a Fender Stratocaster, a Fender Telecaster, and a Martin acoustic? So I would say 3 well-known mainstream brands with good reputations. Would that be enough to satisfy you? And let's see what the votes say. So 43% of you said yes, I wouldn't want or need anything else. 57% of you said, nope, I'd still be gassing for something else. So it just goes to show me that you guys are very difficult to please. Even with like 3 awesome guitars, you're still not happy. So, okay, fair enough. Let's see what you guys commented here. So somebody says, cough, a 335. I understand that. I love my 335. Then someone says, yes, but I'd want a thin line Telecaster. So if it's a Telecaster, has to be a thin line. And then somebody says, of course, what about PRS, Ibanez, Charvel, Sir, all those. Okay. Then someone comments here saying, I'd still need a Flying V, a 335, a good Taylor, and an Ovation at a minimum. Man, you guys. Finally, somebody says, a Telecaster is enough. I would pawn the Martin for another Telecaster. So this guy is not difficult to please. Just give him a Telecaster and he's happy. Then someone says, if the Martin had a good pup, I think that would do me, but no guarantees. So it has to have a good pickup. Not even an acoustic Martin. He wants to have something that has a good pickup in it. Then someone else here says a 339 and agree regarding the thin line Telecaster. So 339s, 335s, thin line Telecasters. Then someone here says, put my RevStar RSS02T2 instead of the Martin, and I'd be happy for life. I really need my P90s. Yeah, I know, Dan Steely. He's like, look behind you. I know, I'm the same way, trust me. I totally understand these comments. I'm just glad that I'm not alone. That's all I'm saying. Our very own Paul here says, whatever it will be, I'll be paying for it. The only thing I never had is a guitar with a Floyd, ideally with humbuckers and Strat pickups. So kind of like the one that I have behind me there, the Charvel, the red Charvel. Yeah. And then Shane says, why all this American crap? Where's my Ibanez RG? And a lot of people are happy with the Ibanez guitars. Just give them an RG and that's fine. It's beautiful. And then finally someone says, nope, ES 175 with P90s and a good D28. The rest of it I could leave and never care. So a lot of you know exactly what you want. A lot of you like to have variation, and a couple of you are happy with one guitar, like Telecasters. So yeah. Look, I gotta say that, I love all my guitars and I like to have variation. And, it would be extremely hard for me to pick one and stick with only one, because eventually I want to have a little bit more choice and selection. But I still have to say that there's a few things that were perfect from the get-go, and I still adamantly say that Telecasters are one of those things where the design, was perfect in the 1950s, and it remains to be perfectly fine for a lot of people, and I'm a big fan of those. I think, what do we have? We have the Telecaster, which the original design was perfect from the get-go. You have bobby pins, and you have safety pins. Those never changed. Bobby pins were designed, in 1930? They never changed. In all these years, they're exactly the same. Safety pins are the same, $18.49, and you can still get exactly the same design today. So that says something, considering the Telecaster is in that same category. So, how do I like my Veloton GP50? I love it, man. I talked about it earlier. Maybe you just joined us and you didn't hear me talking about it earlier, but I was raving about the fact that it's a good option if you want a multi-effects unit that is not complicated and sounds good. You know, I was playing a little earlier, but I'm telling you, I have this delay in my headphones. I hear everything 3 times and it throws me off, and I can't focus on the sound. Anyway, just to give you a little flavor, whatever that sounded like on your end. But the Veloton's perfect. It's a really nice little unit. I'm going to be doing a review so you guys can see the full, review on the channel within a couple of days. The Human Jones says, I lied on the poll. I forgot about the 335, the Paul 335, Strat, Telecaster, and Martin, 2 Gibsons, and 2 Fenders, only fair. I need a double neck guitar storage rack. Do those even exist? MFN says, and girls, yeah. A lot of you said you need the P90 sound. Aerodyne is my favorite Telecaster. Telecaster's an SG, yummy. Says I love everything about the Aerodyne Telecasters. They're a little bit more slick, I gotta say, in terms of the look, right? Shane says earphone jacks didn't change for 100 years until Apple forced us to use their crap. Yeah, that's true. Now we're all confused. We don't know what to do anymore. All right. Jim Simmons says, yes, I'm new here. Well, welcome, Jim. Thanks for joining us. Mean Gene says, mouse traps look the same. Well, there's been a lot of variations in the mouse trap industry. I've seen a lot of interesting variations over the years. You know what they say, you build a better mouse trap, along comes a better mouse. Since I also play bass, I would need a Fender Jazz. Yeah, if you're a guitar / bassist, then your list would be even longer than what we just talked about. Shane says if you got a good Les Paul, you don't really need a 335. Ooh, Shane, I beg to differ on that one. Les Pauls and 335s feel and play very differently. I was just playing my 335 yesterday and I'm like, dang, this is a good guitar. And I can't get the same feel out of a Les Paul that I get out of my 335. So I don't know. I don't agree with you on that one. Who else has a 335 here besides me? Raise your hand. Is it just me? If I had to choose between my 335 and my Les Paul, it'd be a tough decision. It really would. I love both. I think the Les Pauls are great. But I think you can get a really nice tone out of a 335 and maybe a little bit more out of it than you can get out of your Les Paul, just because of the fact that it's a semi-hollow. Just the resonance factor of it. You can do a lot of stuff with a 335. So let's see here. Mean Gene, 335. Dan Steely, hand raised. NFM, 339. Dan Steely actually have a 335, a 355, but close enough. Yeah, it's very similar. 339, 355, all of those things, 335, they're kind of in the same ballpark. Shane says the feel doesn't matter, it's the sound. 335 are more limited. Wrong. Don't agree again. That's strike two, Shane. I don't know, man. Dude, I think you need to play a couple of 335s. I don't feel them limited at all. So I don't know which 335s you've been playing, dude. Would you consider? I mean, if you look at the Allman Brothers and stuff like that and stuff, you know, they were playing the 335s. Did you consider that sound limited? I don't consider it limited at all, man. MFN says I take my 339 over my Les Paul if required. Paul says PM Carmi, who's Carmi? Carney has been doing trade deals with everyone. Hence no German duties. Trump duties should have tanked Canada's economy, but it's up. No, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. But it is due to a 24% better than pre-tariffs, where the US are only doing 4%. Dude, I mean, all the tariff stuff, I'm gonna leave that aside. I mean, we could be talking about this stuff all day long. We know the situation, and I haven't really purchased stuff from the States for a while, just because I don't want to pay the duties, the tariffs. I think a lot of people are doing the same. There's a lot of choices. There's other places we can do business with, and you know, who is suffering? I mean, we're kind of lacking a little bit in terms of choice, maybe, but you know, you can get stuff from all over the world these days, so it doesn't really limit us in any way, I would say. So hopefully these tariff things will be resolved and things will be back to normal, but only time will tell. Let's see here. The Human Jones says, I've got an Epiphone Felon Blue 335. I've yet to get a Les Paul, but I have my eye on the 1979 The Paul. The Phelan Blue is a beautiful color, by the way. Shane says, lots of these hollow body players stuff the holes for rock. So what's the point? I don't do that. I love the feedback. I love playing with the feedback. The cool thing about a 335, if you ever play it live, man, is just the way the resonance just gets you on the edge of feedback. That's the beauty of it, you know. You can play it and just ride that note, and it's beautiful. Mean Gene said, Shane also said Epiphones suck. Marco says, love my 335. Dan Smith says, prefer my PRS Villa Semi over my Les Paul. No 335, but an Epi Casino. Definitely a different tone. Just got to watch the feedback. I have the same custom buckers in both, and they are very different sounds. Indeed, they are. I've played both 335. I've played both 335 is the way I'd go. To me, the 335 is an easier guitar to play, except for the large body size. But in terms of sound, playability, all that stuff, just love it. Mean Gene says, I've sweat, slobbered, drooled, and bled over my guitars, but never cried, sneezed, boogered, pooped, or peed on them, but I'm fast approaching that age. All right, have someone else hold your guitar while you're in the toilet. That'll avoid any kind of mishaps. Shane says, Americans are still buying guitars from overseas. I've sold 4 Godzilla Strats in December. I'm sure they are. There's a lot of people that don't care. They're just going to pay the tariffs and that's the end of it. I'm not one of those, but I'm sure there's many that if you really want a guitar and you have no choice, you'll pay for it for sure. Shane says the players may love the resonance, but the audience doesn't care. Play the same solo live on a Les Paul, and no one can hear the difference. All right, we'll just agree to disagree on that one. NFM says this is awesome. 335 versus Les Paul equals 3 hours of unfinished discussions. Do you review the Paul's Mini? Do you still recommend it, or is there a different unit you prefer? I like the Paul's Mini. I reviewed it. You can go back and watch that video review on my channel for sure. I was very impressed by that little unit. I didn't expect to like it so much, but it really is nice and great for having on your desk and practicing. Is there another unit I'd recommend? I mean, it all depends what you're looking for. If you want to have a speaker built in. If that's not critical, like I said earlier, the Valaton, the GP50 is a nice alternative around the same price. It all depends what you want, what you're looking for. But there's a lot of choices out there, guys. Paul says only US gear has tariffs entering Canada, German, China, and others do not. Charlie says, I do, Tony, and there's nothing like a 335. I agree with you, Charlie. I do agree. All right, guys, I think we're going to end it on that note. Unless you guys have any other questions you want to drop in before we say ciao till the next time. Otherwise, I do appreciate you guys tuning in and always having some great discussions on all kinds of gear and music stuff. If you have anything that you want me to check out in terms of gear on my channel, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. Sometimes there are things that I haven't considered and should be looking at. So give us your suggestions. Let me know. And yeah, Paul, indeed, enjoy your birthday, dude. Have a good birthday week and enjoy the heck out of that new pedal. Hopefully you'll be squeezing in a lot of playtime on it and it'll make you smile all week long. Pedal that keeps on giving. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being patient with my sound issues today. And we'll be joining you once again next Sunday. So come prepared, come hungry, come ready with your questions, and hopefully we'll have another great live Addicted to Gear session next Sunday. Thank you, guys. Have a great week.